Papa Brad coming at you with 5 of his favorite arcade games of all time. First game I want to talk about is the amazing game Black Tiger. This is a Capcom hack and slash game, originally released in arcades in 1987. The reason why I love this game is when I played this game, I was in college, and every day in the student union I would play this game. They had it in the small arcade there, and I got so good at this game I could literally one-quarter the entire game. But it's a fantastic side-scrolling game. It has a lot of things I love about it. You play a barbarian hero, and you have to successfully make it through 8 levels. They have tons of cool end bosses. They have dragons. They have a demon at the end of one of the levels. But one of the things I love about this game is as you play it, you can find wise men who give you rewards when rescued. You also get these coins called zenny. And this currency allows you to buy various items to upgrade your stats in the game. You can get better weapons, armor, you can get keys for treasure chests, you can get anti-poisoning potions. Hidden special items also reveal coins. They can grant upgraded armor, full vitality, extra lives, extra time, and these secrets are part of what makes this game so amazing. Also, your vitality bar will increase up to 4 times as you play through the game when you reach certain benchmarks, so you gradually get stronger as you play the game. And spending the coins right is one of the ways that you can power your way through the game and one-quarter it. This is a game I think I'll always love because it's like a time capsule to the days when I was in college. And I love this game. Check it out, Black Tiger from Capcom. This is in my top 5 games. Defender, to me, is one of the most important titles of the golden age of video games. This game sold 55,000 copies to become one of the best-selling video games of all time. I mean, the sound, nothing really sounds like Defender except Robotron, and is frequently considered one of the greatest video games in the golden age. Jarvis designed the controls to emulate both Space Invaders and asteroids simultaneously. This is the ultimate game to me that separates the men from the boys when you're talking about playing classic arcades. I mean, when you show someone that you can play Defender, I have mad respect. Enough said about Defender. Next, I want to quickly take a look at a great modern retro game that is available on iiRcade and on Steam. Check out Galacticon. This is Papa Brad, and it's time to review the game Galacticon for the iiRcade.
Ready, player 1.
If I was to say that this is the best retro arcade game to come out this year, I would not be lying. The game pays homage to great Williams classics like Joust and Defender. Also pays homage to games like Asteroids. The game has secrets built into it. For example, on this level, if you do not destroy any of the rocks, you can score a bonus. Once a bonus appears, you can shoot. Look at that. If that's not the warp drive from Galaga, I don't know what is. Just chocked full of 80s arcade goodness. But what makes this game amazing is the gameplay is so good. Coming in at only $4.99, this is definitely one of the best values in an iiRcade game. This is a definition of a must-play game on iiRcade. It's literally that good. I can't imagine if you have an iiRcade, if you like 80s arcade games, I can't imagine anyone not loving this game. The in-between levels can be pretty challenging. This one gets me a lot. All these bombs drop, and you got to steer your ship in between. You've got basically fire and flap. The flap's a little more controlled. Look at this, centipede. The little ships look like centipede. Just tons of cool arcades. It's like if you took a bunch of great arcade games and mashed them all together, you'd end up with this. The thing is, you know, it runs so smooth. I mean, this would have been right at home in the 80s arcade between Defender, Galaga, and Joust. I mean, look at the graphics, how cool they are. One of the things that makes this game so spectacular are the controls are just dead on and fair. Look, that's not the tractor beam from Galaga. I don't know what is. The ship could have been on the cover of a Journey album. I mean, come on. This game is just cooler than cool. I mean, it's just... everything I love about arcade games is in this game. I just finally beat the UFO stage at the end of the game for the first time, and it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. Robotron 2084, released by Williams Electronics in arcades in 1982. The game that set the standard for dual-stick shooters. Eugene Jarvis strikes again, basically as follow-up to Defender. Yeah. He was inspired by the game Berserk, another great classic arcade, and Space Invaders to create Robotron 2084. This game was really the first game that really pushed the two-joystick control scheme to the highest level. I mean, when you talk about dual-stick shooters, Robotron's pretty hard to beat, you know? The game was a massive critical and commercial success, and even today, it just holds up. It's just a great game. It's perfectly pure in its pure adrenaline. You know, story doesn't really matter. This game's set in 2084. Robots called Robotrons have taken control of the world and have eradicated most of the human race. You know, your character's called the Robotron Hero. He's a superpowered genetic engineering error or mutant who attempts to save the last human family. If you touch anything in this game, it kills you. Easy to learn, difficult to master. It's just the perfect game that is pure adrenaline. I want to show a quick clip of a retro modern game that is currently available in arcade for free. This is Saturn. Check this game out and look at the similarities. This is papabrad with a look at Saturn, a Robotron-inspired dual-stick shooter raging onto the iiRcade. This is the game that you didn't know you always wanted. As a lover of classic arcade games, this game just scratches that Robotron itch. And the best part, this game was released for free on the iiRcade. That's how you show love to a retro gaming community. You bring down fire, and then you make it free so every person that has an iiRcade can play this game. You know, as a lifelong fan of Robotron, I can tell you, this game delivers that magic, and it's very hard to do. You know, what they got right with this game was the feeling of the firepower. You know, Robotron, you can always get out of some really tight situations. In this game, they really nailed the firepower element of the game. Game has a lot to it. There's 12 different baddies that you fight. There are 9 different power-ups that, you know, will change the way your ship shoots. There are 5 hazards that you encounter in this strange world of Saturn. There's a manual that tells you all about the game. And the love of your little blue friends when you pick them up. That's what makes you stronger. And that's what's gonna make you survive in this game. Like any great classic type arcade game, saving the friends adds a greed element. And greed elements in these games are part of the magic that makes a great 80s arcade game. If you like any of the retro games like Asteroid, Space Invaders, Centipede, Defender, Galaga, Gradius, you're gonna love Saturn because it's a simple, fast-paced twin-stick shooter. It has the feel of a classic 80s arcade game. You need to shoot all the baddies and collect friends to increase your multiplier. When you die, you lose a life and 35% of your friends. Every 75,000 points, you get a new power-up will spawn. An extra life is granted with saving every 60 friends. The magic of this game is that the levels are randomly generated. So every time you play it, you get a little bit different game. There's varying levels of difficulty depending on what kind of baddies they spawn in the level with you. Part of the magic of this game is the way they got the formula just right. There's kind of a loop to the action. The more friends you pick up, the higher your score multiplier goes. Then the more you score, and then you get more power-ups, which also helps you get further. The more power-ups you get, the more points you score, the more friends you get, and so on. It's like an infinite loop. And this is an infinite game. It does max out at level 60 as far as difficulty though. One thing I admire about this game is the design, the art, and sound effects. They really make me feel like I'm in a space mountain. This game reminds me the most of Robotron out of any game I've ever played, other than actual Robotron itself. It's Robotron, it's shiny, it's new, and it's recommended. 10 out of 10. Modern retro games like this are one of the reasons I love the iiRcade. They keep bringing us these kind of new, reimagined, which I think are going to be the next arcade classics. They're really good. And this is another great game and a series of good games that they've just released. Infinite replayability, frantic dual stick action. This game gets a perfect score for me. The fact that it's free also doesn't hurt. Of course, there can only be one at the very top, and that's going to have to be Donkey Kong. To me, this is the ultimate classic arcade game. Combination of luck, strategy, and just really cool level design. Love this game. Never gets old. Play it at every arcade I go to. Just a fun game. And this will be one I would consider maybe eventually one day owning and buying a real arcade to have it. You know, it's very common. Donkey Kong is a very common arcade cab. So it's something that could possibly happen. But this is a great game. This is a game that really has stood the test of time. So, in my number one spot, it's on like Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong's going to take my number one all-time greatest arcade. What do you think? Would you put Donkey Kong at the top of arcade games? It's all subjective. I mean, most of my favorites are from the 80s. It's just what I like the most, but that's not saying that there's not games in the 90s and the 2000s that I don't like. But to me, these 80s games, these are the classics. Like, you know, When I go into a arcade or go on an arcade tour, these are the ones I always go back to. Unbelievable. If you like 80s arcade games, this is a must-play. Very much feels like it could have been in the Donkey Kong series. The people are clamoring for Donkey Kong. Give this game a try. You're not going to be disappointed. It's that good. You know anything about papabrad? You know I'm a huge arcade gamer. When I say this game could have been an 80s arcade, this would have been a massive hit if this would have came out in the heyday of arcades. Oof, not the right timing. Getting more timing now. No. There it is. Warp. The donut. That's the Ferris level. Ferris wheel level. Candy Store Crush. This one has a Donkey Kong Jr. feel with the vines. Have you ever played Donkey Kong Jr.? The way you go up and down the vines? This feels so familiar. The play mechanics. It's like 80s hard, but it's not cheap.